All right, I'm here with Pittsburgh artist and CEO of High Five Productions, Lynn Star. You have allowed me into your home today. Thank you
Right.
so much. Thanks for coming on as well.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm
Now,
excited.
of course, what neighborhood of Pittsburgh are we in right now?
North side. We're on the north side.
Now, is that the where you have been most of your life?
Actually, yes. So I'm from the Hill District of Pittsburgh, which is it's not really the east side. It's like connected to downtown. But ever since I was 5, my mom moved around to the north side, so I've been with her. So yeah. And I'm
Cool.
24 now, so yeah.
Awesome. So, what is your background in music? I know that you went to. Did you study music in high school as well?
Yes.
So talk about all of that.
Okay, so I started making music around. I started making music around age 15, but I was always in music from about like 9. I was in musicals, and then around 10, I went to a jazz camp. I started singing. I went to a performing arts middle school, so they started teaching me classical music. Like, in the afternoon, I learned like classical music. In the morning, I learned math and science and all that other shit. And then I went to a high school that did the same exact shit. And then I went to college for vocal performance. So I just been singing opera and doing all of this shit forever. And then I started writing hip hop at 15. So like, opera and hip hop is kind of what I got behind me.
How does that differs? I feel like from a lot of hip hop artists that you have these backgrounds in doing musicals, jazz, opera. So how does that benefit you to bring in some of those sounds or just influence you in any way?
Well, of definitely bringing in the sounds. I mean, I'm able to analyze music because I literally had to do that for school, right? But also, just being an all around performer. Like I have that training of being on the stage as an opera singer. I have that training of just being straight acting, where there's no singing involved, there's no music involved, in that performance aspect. So all of the theatrics and all of those things, I think, make me a better performer or an entertainer, just all around because I have that training dancing and all that, just to do it,
That's awesome. Now with High Five Productions, you're the CEO of it.
Yes.
Talk to me, and I know there's a lot that goes into that company. Talk about everything that is involved there, and why you created that company.
Okay, so right. So I'll answer everything that's involved, and then I'll answer why I created it. So everything that's involved, we have artist management, we have marketing, we have social media management, we have merchandising. We sell beats as well. We're kind of like this all-purpose platform for artists, artists of quality art. So we'll even sell visual art if you want that to be sold and you want to team up with us and create or curate a show. You know what I mean? So event coordination and as well. But music label title, just to give it a title. Where it came from. I was about 17 years old. So 15, I started rapping, right? You got these mixtapes and you want to be on shows. Open mic nights are cool, but like nobody really comes to open mic nights and it's just like whatever, right? And you want shows. So how the hell you get shows? I had no idea how to get shows, but I knew how to make my own show. You know what I mean? So being in theater like my whole life, I knew what a show did. I knew how a stage director would act, or would work. So I just was like, all right. I talked to my principal and was like, let me throw a show here. And she let me throw a show there at my junior year. And then I did it my senior year. And after that, I started, coming out of my pocket and like paying for spaces to actually hold shows and open mics for my friends because obviously I didn't want to just do it myself. I also learned that if you get other people who have audiences, then you get to steal their audience. That was something that I learned very quick, very young, which is really cool. I'm glad I learned that one. So that's where High Five Productions came out. It I was just like, I'm gonna call it something. And me and my friends, we were rapping and I was like, High Five Productions. We like smoking weed. We were young. High five. There was like 5 of us. I actually made it 5 of us so it would make sense. And then it didn't make sense after a minute. But then I just was like, all right, but that's a name that can keep going. It's like regardless of being childish and immature, it can still keep going. So it grew into an LLC and it grew into a company. So yeah.
Now a lot of kids in high school, they're not thinking about starting their own company. I mean, where did that kind of mindset come from?
Shit. I guess so. My dad always was throwing shows in Pittsburgh. He owns this company called Star Status Entertainment. My mom owns her own cleaning company as well. She works for Bank of New York Mellon, so she has her corporate job, but she also owns her own business. So I guess owning my own business was something that was always feasible. It was never like too far. Like, oh well, they do it. Like, and I also like have. I'm not gonna lie. Have a control issue sometimes. I just want to be in control. Like over the years, I've learned to like be a team player and shut up and ask people for help. But like when I was younger, it was just totally like I could do this shit. And like also another thing was like I I never said I never said this to you, but I said this to everybody. Childish Gambino was a very big inspiration for me whenever I was younger. Watching him be a part of 30 Rock, writing for 30 Rock, acting on the Community, just rapping and his shit being good. It like kind of gave me this I could do anything too. So it was like on top of saying entrepreneurial qualities for my family, I also was like I could do this shit. So it was like both of those things. Yeah, and somebody has to do it. So why not me?
Absolutely, and you talk about being able to do all of these different things. What is the importance of being so well rounded? I mean, do you also do you produce your own beats and things like that sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
And direct your own music videos sometimes?
Yes.
Or so is it maybe part of that control idea, but just caring about the art as a whole? I talk about that a lot on this podcast, caring about all the aspects of the art that goes into it.
Well, of course, because when you're making art, it's all up here, right? And as a visual artist can put it on paper. I never learned that one. I never stood to practice that. But I want to make this music sound, but I want to make this music like sound good from what I have in here. But I also want people to see the vision. So in order for that to happen, I have to be a part of it every single step of the way, right? I have to literally get the director or whoever's with me to see it. Like I have to get you to see it and my team to see it in order for it to actually come into reality. That's the only way, right?
Yeah.
So it's just literally I have to like steer it with them and steer the car the whole time. But it's like I let them have the wheel when I know I can't have control, but I'm telling them where to go, and if that makes sense. And it's also always collaboration when it comes to those things. So. But being well-rounded does make it it makes it easier. You just got to be a part of it every single step of the way, and that's like kind of how it helps me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And how important is all of those aspects of art? It's not just the music. I think that maybe it's because of just YouTube and Instagram has allowed us to have kind of publish these visual aspects as well. How important are those visuals in music now?
In music now, very important, because that's a medium that we see every single day. It's just the visual medium, and if you want to really captivate an audience or you want to get people to see you, it's all about being seen. It's not necessarily about being heard, because not everybody, but there's a lot of people making quality music, and how are you going to grab these people? So you have to pull this visual aspect in. And for me personally, I don't write music without seeing something visual. I guess that's part of being an artist. And I'm sure a lot of other people do that same thing. If you're an artist, you do see it. You see that room that you're in, that you're writing about. You see that setting. So I guess the visual is, I would say, one of the most important things, if that makes sense. And not necessarily the physical one, but the one that people see up here as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I've looked at some of your music videos, like Fit In, which you just put out the music video a couple months ago. There's a lot that went into that. Was that fun to do? And just talk a little bit about that music video.
So that music video was amazing to me because so Fit In, how the video goes and how the album goes is kind of opposite. So the song Fit In, and I believe S&G is after Fit In, but I put it in front for the video. Nobody really knows that, but the reason why I did that is because it would make more sense, because it's just fire and we're running from Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't know if anybody knows that story. Do you know Sodom and Gomorrah?
No.
So S&G stands for Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm sorry, I'm running in circles.
No, explain it.
So S&G is a part of the song Fit In, or the video Fit In. I don't know if you noticed.
Okay.
So the song starts, ring the alarm. That's a whole separate song from the actual video that you saw. That was the extended version, right? S&G is just Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah is a story within the Bible which angels are warning a family to leave the city because God's going to burn the whole city. And he says, don't look back. And if you look back, you'll turn into salt, like a salt statue, right? So that's why in the video you saw people turn to the city and they froze, right? And I'm running from the city because some angel told me I got to get the fuck out of here, right? But then so I got to get out of here, but also where do I fit? Where fit in, right? So Fit In was just me, just a whole visual aspect. I'm trying to be like Travis Scott in this, if that makes sense. Have you seen Travis Scott's videos lately?
Oh yeah.
They're mind fucks, right?
Yeah.
So like, so with Fit In, I was just trying to make like the coolest visual I could. Like SNG, that part in the beginning had a story. The rest of it, I was just like, I don't fit, but it made sense with the music. I'm moving the crowd. I had a little crowd with me, you know. I'm eating. It's a feast because, like, you know, I say in the song that I'm eating or whatever. But it was making that was like amazing because I got a grant for that. So I got a grant for the whole project of Universe 25. The city gave me, well, not necessarily the city, but the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council of Pittsburgh, obviously Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council, gave me $20,000 to make a rap album. I don't know if anybody else is doing that, but that made me feel good, right?
Awesome.
And that made me like be like, oh shit, people are giving money to the arts. So I got money for that, and that was just like the biggest video I was able to do, you know, like, and
Cool.
I put thousands of dollars into it, like, because I could, you know, like, because the money was there, and so like the art definitely showed, the quality definitely showed, and that was my first time working with Corey and Alina, Ando Films, and it was some dope shit. It was amazing on making it. So sorry I was rambling.
No, absolutely, that's totally fine. All right. So yeah, talk a little bit more about that album. First off, how did you get the recognition enough to get the Greater Pittsburgh Art Council? There we go.
So that grant was purely about the quality of art, right? So like every other grant, so I've been doing my homework, and I was trying to get grants before I got that one. Like, and that wasn't the first time I tried. And I've been always in the room, and I've been on panels for grants, and they were always about, you know, social justice projects. You know, they would always work if you had some kids that you wanted, especially like black kids, because like that's what, you know, that's what they're going to fund towards, because they want minorities. They, you know, that's how it works. That's how they're going to give money away, right? But nobody just gives money for the art. Like, just literally just art, but art for art's sake, except for this grant. It's called the Lift Grant that, you know, is literally meant to lift your career, right? So regardless of if I had that big of a following, you know what I mean? Like, I probably had like 1,000, 2,000 followers. Now I only have 3, you know what I mean, on Instagram. Besides the following, it was all about the art. And I just knew, like, I'm like, all right, so I know I don't have that big of a following, but the art's there. So I like wrote a grant that like made sense, you know. So being on those panels, like, I know what people want to hear, and honestly, it's just about answering the question. So basically, it was about taking this whole artsy fartsy shit that I have in my brain and actually putting it down on paper, making it logical, and like, you know, like, this is what I'm doing. I am making a 7-song conceptual project based on the study of John B Calhoun's Universe 25. You know, like, just making it like clear as day, and then making the samples, like showing the samples of, this is the art that I've created so far, and this is my resume so far, you know what I mean? And on that resume, I probably had about like 15 curated shows, but I had projects under there, and it just showed that I could do it. And this panel is made up of people who live in Pittsburgh, and people in Pittsburgh know me, like, so they're like, no, I know Lynn is capable of doing that. So that's kind of like how that whole grant came to be, like, literally just, you know, step by step making it work.
That's awesome. And you just briefly mentioned it, but that idea of John B Calhoun, who studied rats, so which is it's genius to me, it really is. How did you get the idea to kind of take that and what he was saying, I guess, was that what he was saying applied to society at that point anyways. So how did you even come up with the idea to kind of turn that concept into an album? And explain his whole study and stuff like that as well.
Word. So how I came up with the album was, I was just releasing Vanity a year before, and I was in Argentina, and my team was releasing it. So I finally got a team, and I was in Argentina for school, and this was like my last thing from school. I graduated, and this was like, you know, a Spanish minor, right? And I came across this thing on Facebook, and it was like Universe 25, and it just explained, like, briefly, just like the gist of what happened, and I was like, that's cool as fuck. And I looked over to this girl and was like, I'm naming my album Universe 25 next. Like, the next one. And I haven't even dropped Vanity yet. It was funny as hell, right? So I actually, like, you know, like, being the, like, nerd that I am, I looked it up and was like, this shit is cool as hell. Like, how this man was relating the idea of a mouse's life in a utopia to man living in, like, New York, or, you know, living in any place that is like stacked on top of each other, but just human beings trying to make this perfect life, right? And so he created this perfect life for rats, and it like was perfect in the way of no out of the ordinary death, like not out of the ordinary death, but no nature deaths, which are like, a hawk coming down, no like weather coming out, and no diseases, like, so things like that, right? And he just made it was like just a highly conditioned space, right? And it had massive food, it had massive water, but you need death kind of to balance out social structures. And those social structures weren't getting balanced out. The alpha male wasn't dying, so it would be like 14 rats who were dominating the whole thing, just fucking all of these other like rats, right? And it's just like creating dens, and that's how they were like, whoever was the strongest had the most like women inside, or the most female rats inside, and had the most children. It was the biggest litter. But there was about 24 spaces in there, but there was only 14 dominant. You know what I mean? And there was like even bouncer rats that were stopping the smaller young men or the barren women from getting up into the places where there was a lot of food and there was just a lot of space. So they were all forced to eat in like this commune. They were just fighting each other, and it was just like, it's kind of like what a prison is like, you know what I mean? But it was a utopia though. Like it was like literally there was nothing wrong. There was nothing that could come and kill them. Like they were living like long lifespans, which isn't long for a mouse, but it's pretty long if you let it live, So it was like really weird. And like he made that allegorical for a man's life, and I was like, I'm writing an album about that, and I was like, maybe I should get some money for it. And that kind of like the only way I was going to write that album to the way that it was if I got that grant. So that's kind of why I put it into such a way that it matched up with the study. Like that whole album, it's just 7 songs of like, speaking about the utopia, which is the city, talking about it being oversaturated. So after it being oversaturated, full of like artists who just aren't really that good, or just unquality artists, or just a bunch of shit, where do I fit? Sodom and Gomorrah, I need to run from this city, but all right, now my spirit died. And then there was also this group called the Beautiful Ones, which was just a group of mice that did not do anything but groom themselves. Right. So that was really weird. And I like based that off of like, us being like a society about like Instagram and shit just looking pretty. So our spirit has already died, and then after that death too, the colony dies. So that's kind of, I base it off of 7 songs. It was pretty easy after you like write it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or to me, I guess.
Yeah, to you. I mean, it's an idea that I don't think anyone would think about putting it into an album. So that's really awesome. You kind of reference in some of your songs being a conscious rapper, or maybe people don't or do want you to be a conscious rapper. Talk a little bit about that. Do you want to be considered a conscious rapper?
No, fuck that. But like at the same time, bro, like I think, like, you know what I mean? Like I read books, I contemplate life on an existential level. So like, why wouldn't I make it into my music? But I don't want to be labeled conscious, because like that puts you in such a box. It makes me say that I can't. I don't know if I can cuss on your podcast.
Oh yeah,
right?
You already have.
It makes me
yes.
like it makes me like feel like I can't talk about pussy, money, weed, or any other thing in that realm. It's just like I don't fit in that box. So like being conscious is just like I want to rap about total bullshit sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's the fun part about art. It doesn't have to make sense. So. Fuck no about the conscious shit doesn't matter. But like
you just don't want the label.
I don't want the label, but I also like I'm not always like conscious. Like I get drunk as shit. I do like dumb shit. I do, and I guess if conscious sometimes is like doing the right thing or speaking about the higher shit, then I'm human, bro. Like so I always fell for that. I fall for that dumb shit and the other shit that isn't going to necessarily be righteous. So I can't be conscious.
Yeah,
exactly. If that's the definition,
maybe that's a little conscious in itself.
It is completely conscious in itself, bro. What do you expect? I'm a Scorpio male who stinks all the damn time. So yeah, there we go.
But you're also just allowing yourself to be human, and I think that as an artist, or especially when artists get into maybe a mainstream level, like they don't always necessarily want to show that they are humans.
No, but seriously, seriously, and shit. Yeah, no, I'm human as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
obviously.
No, but exactly that you're real, and you put that into your music for sure. Now, I know you were also at one point, I don't know if you still are, teaching kids hip hop and dance and things like that in the city. Yes. Talk a little bit about that.
So I graduated from college and I was looking for a job, and I knew this woman named Stacey Pearl, who is a choreographer in Pittsburgh. Just she's very well known, I think, worldly known, internationally known, for better words. But she helped me get a job, which was teaching dance for Propel schools. But I don't necessarily dance. I can dance, but I don't dance. So I started teaching kids hip hop and how to rap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just started building my own curriculum. So I did that for like 6-7 months, and then I stopped. But I do teach in after school programs. I actually just got hired as a substitute teacher, so I'm going to be teaching some more. But like, so that's how I kind of got into it. And like, do I still do it? Yeah. But my goal is to do this on the collegiate level, so that's why I'm like doing it now. I'm like, let's see like how minds learn, because there's not that much difference from a child and a adult, except for delusion of grandeur. You know what I mean? So like, that's like mainly what's going on. So like, yeah, that's my teaching thing right now.
So is that something you just generally enjoy, or what is the goal there with teaching? Like you said, you want to do it on a collegiate level. Mm-hmm. What is needed on the collegiate level?
Oh, well, what is needed is a respect for hip hop. The fact that it can actually be taught, and that there are fundamentals to this, you know, that there's a theory to this. So that's where I'm going with this. I am going, as a classically trained musician, I am going to also teach people that hip hop should be considered a fine art, especially with the influence that it has on the world. You know what I mean? Like, I talk about this a lot recently. Soulja Boy, if it wasn't for Soulja Boy, we all like laugh at the idea of the Soulja Boy era. If it wasn't for him, there would not be streaming the way it is today. You know what I mean? He was the first YouTube rapper. Like, he was the first one that we were constantly streaming. Actually, the first YouTube musician that we were constantly streaming, right? And it broke out with that whole dance era. So we had the jerk. We had so many dances, right? So that influenced fashion. But before that, you know, you have so many more people. You have Run DMC with Adidas and the shoelaces and shit like that. So, like, hip-hop has just always been the shit, right? And if rock can get recognition, if people can, you know, sing classical music and also sing rock music and nobody bats an eye, why the fuck can't somebody go from opera to rap? You know, that's kind of like what I think is missing. So my goal is to, you know, continue getting a musicology degree. Focus on postmodern music. They call it postmodern because that's just the era. It's stupid because it's modern for us. And commercial music, but also try to funnel that into the actual like fine arts programs in schools and colleges. So building curriculums. So.
Now, here in Pittsburgh, what's sort of just the culture surrounding hip hop right now?
All right, so. What's the culture surrounding black people right now? So it's like really weird. I answered that with a question, but what I mean is like, you know, it's just like that thing that's wanted but not necessarily wanted in here right now, if that makes sense. So it's like, you know, we got a lot of artists that are popping and that are on the rise, but it's like they have to go through white curators in order for that to happen. You know, like it's harder for black people right now to have their own safe spaces, and then that's kind of shitty in Pittsburgh, and we're sucking it up by letting these other people do what they want in order for us to get our spot. So that's kind of like what's happening in Pittsburgh, but there is a bright side. There's always that silver lining. The music here and the quality of music here is on the fucking rise, and we have a lot of artists that are actually like touring, like, you know what I mean, like, I'm really putting up numbers, and I see it on Twitter every day. These are like people that I brush shoulders with all the time. I know I'm like kind of fangirling because like these are people that I call my peers sometimes, but then sometimes I'm like, damn, how can I call you my peer when your numbers are fucking soaring? So the music here is it's thriving in a way that even though the bullshit that I just mentioned, it really won't get in the way. That's how good the music, the hip-hop culture is right now. So yeah, that's it.
Now, I gotta ask, yesterday we obviously learned about the unfortunate news of Juice WRLD, his death. But I'm going to take it back because we're here in Pittsburgh. The loss of Jimi, Wopo, and before that, Mac Miller. What did those artists mean to this city, first of all?
Hope. You know, what do they mean for almost any city, right? It's literally hope. For Jimi Wopo specifically, you know, because he comes from, like, truly urban neighborhood, truly hood, if you would call that, right? You know, so it's just for kids who don't necessarily have the opportunities that a lot of others do. You know, they were hopeful. Like it was just that he was hope. You know, and for Mac Miller, man, like he was a fucking musical legend in our eyes. So, you know, like that's like we lost our heart, because it was like this dude, like, really, he represented Pittsburgh, like that was a Pittsburgh dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Wopo was that dude too, but we didn't get a chance to know that dude yet. You know what I mean? Like, he was just now getting that uproar. Mac Miller, he's you know, making beats under Larry Fisherman. He's always, you always hear his voice on an Odd Future song. You always hear his voice on a TDE song. This guy he's the sound of the fucking industry if you're like not paying attention right now. You know what I mean? So, and then you lost that, and that kind of hurt, you know, because we felt like we knew Mac, even if you didn't know Mac.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. So it's a big loss.
When you talk about the culture surrounding music in Pittsburgh, did that have a negative effect that all of a sudden these big artists are gone, that there's no one kind of leading the way in a sense here, or?
No, well, even though Mac was, you know, he was this big Pittsburgh artist that made it, there was no one necessarily reaching a hand back. Out of Mac and Wiz, they weren't. I don't want to say that about Mac, because Mac was a cool ass dude, and actually when he came back, he did brush shoulders with people. So I'm not going to speak out of turn, but what I'm saying is they it's not like they were literally just pulling us up.
Yeah.
You know, so like when you lose someone necessarily in the music industry, especially in Pittsburgh, we kind of don't have this ladder mentality. We're not necessarily helping each other get up. It's like we're looking at each other. This is why I based Universe 25 in Pittsburgh. We're looking at each other like fucking competition all the time. When you look at somebody like competition all the time, you're first off, you're not dropping this pride thing, which is allowing you to collaborate and just be better. And, you know, let's be better together instead of let me push you down so I can just keep trying to grind. So that's kind of like the negative culture that's underlying. But I think since it's being spoken on so much and people are calling it out, people are being like, nah, like, I see you doing that. And the ones who are really doing that, who are really stepping on backs, they're really calling them out. I feel like that it's kind of being alleviated, but it's still there. So yeah.
Now, I mean, what's just your take on, obviously it's different causes, drugs, gun violence, all sorts of stuff. You see artists dying younger and younger. You have a song called The 27 Club. Just kind of, what's your thought process about all of this, and how does it as a whole affect the music industry with now Juice WRLD dying and things like that?
Shit. I mean, well, with Juice WRLD dying, I mean, I heard people like Juice WRLD, I heard he pops like 10 perks sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, and if I heard wrong, by God, I'm sorry. But if somebody is popping 10 perks, I think that is where we're wrong. So, like, if this is the norm, if this is what we think is cool as fuck, bro, you're wild. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, pop a perk. Maybe feel good. All right, that's a pill. All right, but, like, popping 10, you're pushing your body to the limit. You're pushing massive chemicals to the limit. So I'm, like, thinking, like, you know, with, like, young deaths, it's just, like, dude, like, know your drugs. Like, and I'm like, I know I'm one of those people, like, I'm a teacher. I shouldn't tell people to know your drugs. But at the same time, like, know your fucking drugs. We all went to college, right? Know what the fuck you're getting into. There is Google. Like, know what these chemicals are doing. So, like, I feel like if these people just knew their drug, and they could have safe fun, because there are people who can pop a perk and still walk around and just drink enough water, stay hydrated, and eat. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, be responsible. I guess that's where the conscious rapper in me comes in. Like, just be responsible. Like, so, I mean, I don't even know what to say on, like, young people dying young. I mean, it's just like, and I mean, but there's a lot more. There's so many layers. There's, like, you know, a lot of, like, depressed young kids who are using drugs to cope because they're not getting the right fucking mentor. And it's like, it's so many layers.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't even know how to speak on that exact topic, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's a plethora of issues that go into it. Absolutely. Do you think that, like, it just seems like, I mean, it's like, it's unfair for me as honestly a white guy from the suburbs to necessarily talk about all of it. So that's why I'm asking you. But do you feel like this culture surrounding, because there's a reason why they talk about gun violence, is because of what they grew up in and what they know.
Exactly.
Like, but is that bad? That's kind of so much a part of the culture, and the drugs as well.
Well, yes and no, because I think these things, like me speaking of this, doesn't make, like, if I speak of gun violence, regardless if you like the song or not, you most likely, I don't know your background, but you are not going to go out and just do some stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
And I think it literally has to do with education and just, like, knowledge, right? Like, like, smart people do smart shit, right? Ignorant people do ignorant shit. So, like, regardless, if I listen to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Let My Pants Hang, like, I don't know, I just made that up. But if I listen to that shit, that doesn't mean I'm about to walk outside with my gun and, like, with my pants hanging. That is not about to happen because, like, I have knowledge of the fact. So I think it doesn't have anything really to do with the music and the art, because I think all of these things reflect society and what is actually happening and not the other way around. I mean, it does have some other reverse effect, but I really think it's just a reflection on us, right? So I think this is where we need to turn on our education systems and shit like that and be like, all right, like, if we teach these kids younger than what we're trying to catch them at middle school, you already fucking lost. Because I was teaching K through 8, and there's kids like in 6th grade who can't read. You've lost them when they're like there at 6th grade and he can't read and he's angry as fuck. You know what I mean? So that is like, we got to catch kids earlier and just teaching them. And like, no matter if you give kids knowledge, then I guess that would literally stop a lot of violence. I mean, a lot of misunderstandings happen because people aren't understanding. It makes sense. Misunderstandings. It happens because we're not on the same page. And a lot of times people who are ignorant aren't necessarily going to know the things that you're not. So like, I could say a word that you feel like, since you didn't know, I'm talking shit. Like, that's literally happens. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I just said a word, so why don't you ask me what that word means? But pride and all of that shit. So it's like, teach. If you taught people, and even you can even teach people to not be prideful. Like, there's a lot of fucking shit, and I think that would help a lot. And yeah.
Now you talk about like the culture and the safe spaces that you want to create for hip hop artists. Is that something that you focus on with your record label?
Of course, because like, one, I focus. So my record label is a reflection of me. You know what I mean? Which is like why you see the logo on my hand. Like, it is completely me. So if I'm fucking with people who are just not respectable human beings, what does that reflect on my company? You know? Yeah. So like, yes, like I want to be a safe space for people. I want people to be able to come talk to me, and understand that I'm treating them with respect no matter what. Unless you disrespect me, then we'll figure out where that path goes. But it's more so like, let's respect, let's be, let's be empathetic. Let's do that. So the more we can do that, the more I can be that, the more my company can be that, and the more the spaces that I have and the people that I surround myself with and the people that I'm inviting to these spaces bring that same energy. So that's, that's the goal. And yeah.
So why don't you just talk about some of your artists that you have, that you manage and that you have signed to your record label and stuff like that?
Okay, right. So I have Quiet, my homie I met from college. His name is Miles Sexton as well, if people want to know. I have Shocky. That's my homie who I met in high school. We also went to college together. And I have an affiliate, James Perry. So he's also been around me forever. So sometimes he'll release music with us, and so those are my artists. We're talking about signing more because I'm kind of like pulling up my like pants as like an artist manager, and like I'm trying to go to get my master's in music industry. So I'm really trying to be like this like music manager. So that's like what I got in store. But those are the 3 that I have right now. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, if I say this, it's going to open up the doors. But do you welcome artists reaching out to you for any sort of purpose?
I do. But it's also like, if I don't get back to you, understand that I have so much shit to do. Like, I work 7 days a week because like there's so much shit for me to do and there's so much shit to pay for. You know what I mean? Because gotta pay for shit. So like, if I don't get back to you, or if I'm just like not necessarily reaching back out, it's not no hard feelings. So yes, I like artists to reach out, and if you got quality fucking music, bro, let's make some music. Like that's always going to be the thing. If you got quality art, not just music. If you got quality art and you want to do some quality shit, let's do some quality shit. That's
Absolutely.
all we want to do. Yeah.
Now, seriously. You talked about some stuff a little bit, but what's kind of next for you right now?
Word. So next, I'm probably going to not release. I'm releasing something December 23rd, I believe. I'm probably going to release something in February that's already written, but I don't think I'm releasing anything until next summer. I'm going to write, but I'm also going to manage, and I want to release, I want High Five to release a bunch of new stuff with artists. I was trying to decide between shit and stuff just now. I don't know if you heard new stuff. So I'm trying to release new things with some artists. I'm trying to sign some artists and just get the label running a little bit better, and not just focus on my artistry, but focus on just the foundation of our company. So that's like what's next. And as well, I'm really trying to move to Los Angeles. I've been saying this for so fucking long, and it just seems like it's being held off, but I want to go. I'm trying to get out of there. I'm trying to get out there and get out of here and go to USC for get my master's, and we'll see. I put in that application, USC. If you see this,
I hope they do.
Oh man, get your boy in there and find somebody to give me some money. $25K a semester. We can fucking do this, or buy some music.
Yes, absolutely. That's awesome. Now, where can people check you out? Where can they find you and your music as well as High Five Productions?
Right. So to find me, you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, anything that plays music. Mostly anything that plays music. I think even TikTok now, but it's just really cool.
That's
right.
Awesome.
And my name is Lynn Star. That's LYN STARR. And you can also find me on highfivemusic.co. HIGHFIVEMUSIC.co. Please don't put an M at the fucking end of that, because you will not find where we are at. And that's where you'll find my music in whole. You can also find me on Bandcamp. But then you'll find all of High Five. And Instagram, type in my name. If you want to find High Five, type in my name. Twitter, type in my name. I'm crazy on Twitter. Not crazy in followers, like literally fucking crazy. And yeah, like anywhere, type in my name, Google me, and you will find me, and it will be wonderful. And you'll find High Five, because I do not let anything be. I don't let anything said. I don't let anyone say anything about me without saying High Five. It takes me a while to find words, but there we go.
That's awesome. All right, Lynn, thank you so much. Everyone go check him out. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Check me out. Word.
You're listening to The Creative Flow.